Hi, Cozy Mystery lovers. Welcome back to my reading of A History of Murder. It's book 1 in my Jericho Falls Cozy Mystery series, and I'm the author, Brooke Peterson. Today we're going to be reading chapter 36. We're nearing the end of the book. So if you're just finding this, I hope you'll go back, check the notes below, and you can start with chapter 1. And we'll get started today with 36. Just a little recap. In chapter 35, our main character, Chloe, was getting some more information at the Opera House from Mariah and Luke, who both work there. And then at the end of the chapter, in walks Anthony, who has told her that he wants to show her the property development that he's working on. And it's not the best time for her, and she's trying to decide what to do. And now we'll start chapter 36, Seriously Suspicious. Anthony noticed my reluctance and smiled. Come on, it may be my last chance to show you. That is, if you're really leaving town after the ball. Obviously, I was curious about the development plan. Maybe if I saw what the company had in mind, I would understand why they wanted to build near Jericho House and the other mansions on Gold Mountain. All right, I said reluctantly. Anthony looked satisfied. Great, let's go. Should I follow you in my truck? I asked when we got outside. Hop in with me. I'll bring you back when we're through, he said. Anthony drove us through town with a pasted-on smile. A sense of dread was building inside of me, but I didn't know why. I can't wait to show you our plans, he went on, so you can see the true vision of the development. Great, I said, feigning more interest than I felt. We passed Jericho House and the other large houses on our dead-end street. Then Anthony jumped the curb and maneuvered onto a small dirt lane that continued into the field beyond. The street will be extended, of course, Anthony said. Only if you get your way, I thought. The road was bumpy and dust billowed out around his truck. The terrain became wilder with sagebrush and scrub surrounding us. In about a quarter of a mile, we came to an area that had been scraped clean of foliage. Anthony parked. Then he hurried around the truck to open the door for me. I frowned, but accepted his help. I'll grab the map and blueprints. He went to the bed of his truck, where he opened a large toolbox and took out 2 rolled-up maps. He unfurled one and laid it across the hood. Why are you so concerned with showing me all this? I asked. Anthony chuckled and ran a hand through his dark hair. If I'm honest, I need your support. We haven't been doing so as well as I've let on. Lots of people are against this proposal. Of course they are. Anthony should have seen that coming. He went on. But if you and Lily voice your support, it could change everything. Do you think you could convince her? Art was trying, but he's not going to help me anymore. As I thought, Anthony always had an angle. He was only looking out for his own best interests, as usual. Before I could come up with an excuse to leave, he motioned for me to come closer. Take a look at these drawings with me. I walked to meet him at the side of his truck. He placed an arm around my shoulders. Here's the road we came in on. You can see that it will lead to a large cul-de-sac. Hotels, restaurants, and shops will be built in a semicircular fashion with parking behind them. He ran his finger along the paper. We'll start with 2 mid-sized hotels, maybe 200 rooms apiece, and 3 mid-level chain restaurants. We'll expand from there. I wanted to scream, expand from there. These chain giants would put the original treasured hotels and restaurants of Jericho Falls out of business. Anthony's cell phone buzzed. He silenced it. Where was I? He went on. His phone began to buzz again, right away. Sorry, Chloe, I better take this. Anthony held the phone against his shoulder while he rolled up the map. What? He barked into the receiver. I watched his face. It went from showing irritation to surprise and then anger. That isn't acceptable. My final presentation is Monday when the city council takes their vote. Spit flew out of his mouth when he spoke, and he gripped the phone so tight his fingers were turning white. I turned my back to him, partly because I wanted to give him the illusion of privacy, but mostly because he was scaring me. I looked towards him, wishing I were far away from Anthony White. I looked towards town, wishing I were far away from Anthony White. For a moment, I thought I was going to succumb to a panic attack. I felt the muscles in my throat begin to constrict, and the familiar yet unwelcome sensation of fluttering begin in my chest wall. I told myself to breathe, just breathe. As soon as I started inhaling and exhaling in a calm manner, my mind began to clear. Soon I realized my trip here with Anthony wasn't a mistake at all. In fact, it couldn't have happened at a more perfect time. I needed to hear whatever he was talking about. I had to relax and listen. I continued taking slow, deep breaths in and out, and I turned back to listen in on what Anthony was saying. He was talking in a hush, but not with less anger. You told me you could do this. You said that you could get the rest of the funding. Do you remember what happened to the last guy who let me down? Anthony looked up and met my gaze. He put on an instant smile for my benefit. Hold on a minute, he said into the phone. He drew it away from his face and pressed the mute button. Hey, Chloe. His voice was upbeat and professional once again. I'm sorry, but I need to work this out. Do you mind waiting in the truck? You know, Anthony, I'll walk back. I need to get home anyway. Grandma Lily is expecting me. Are you sure? You don't mind? The road's pretty rough. You'll get dusty. Not at all, I said. A little dirt was a small price to pay to get away from here. You're a peach. See you tonight. Save me a dance, he said, and went back to his call. Not on your life. I fought a strong urge to break into a full run back to town. Instead, I walked as normally as possible, knowing that if I turned around to check, Anthony would be watching me. It gave me a prickly feeling on the back of my neck. Who had he been talking with? And who had let him down before? Was it Art? I couldn't wait to get back to Jericho House, to peel off my filthy clothes and shower off the last hour or two. Never mind muddy dog feet or dirty mop water. It was the time spent with Anthony making my skin crawl. I hustled upstairs and did a total restart. Showered, blow-dried, and moisturized. No sense putting on any makeup, with Bree ready to get me dolled up in just a couple of hours. Then I realized it. I didn't have my truck. I would have to go back to the Opera House and get it. Thanks a lot, Champion Hospitality Corp. Grandma wasn't there to give me a lift, probably off on some last-minute party prep errand. I wondered if she still had a bike in the garage. If so, I would ride down to my truck and haul it home in the back. Suddenly, a bike ride to clear away the last of this morning's shadows sounded divine. I drew my hair back in a loose, low braid and ventured outside to look in the garage. Sure enough, Grandma's bike was right where she always parked it. I checked the tires, and they were solid as a rock. I was ready to go. I donned the helmet hanging on the handlebars and set out. There's nothing like fresh air to get the brain cells firing, and this ride was a perfect example of that, because I had no sooner coasted down D Street when an interesting thought popped into my head. Anthony needed investors to help get the development proposal approved. He had mentioned it more than once. I pedaled past Bree's beauty salon and the floral shop, which were both buzzing with activity. I passed Sarsaparilla Sally's, where a blast of sweet, creamy ice cream fragrance filled the air. I swooned and almost wrecked. Up ahead, I noticed two women dressed as Gold Rush-era can-can dancers, posing for photos with tourists on the boardwalk. But my mind went back to Anthony and his comment about Art trying to convince Grandma Lily to support the development plan. That, coupled with the fact he was looking for investors, bothered me. But maybe this was just another of my ill-fated suspicions. As I rode, I went through the other hunches I had followed. All of my ideas so far had become nothing but dead ends. William Weston had been hospitalized, and Alice was in the slammer when Art was killed. Garner seemed to believe Malcolm was innocent, and Art's old business partner was dead. All of my prime suspects had solid alibis. Would I ever be able to put the pieces together? Could I do it before Garner was forced to make an arrest? If so, I was going to need more information, something else to go on. I arrived at the Opera House and hopped off Grandma's bike. I was tempted to go inside to ask Mariah what she knew about Anthony's funding problems. I thought better of it, though. She was up to her elbows in preparing for the ball. Instead, I loaded Grandma's bike into the bed of my truck and returned to Jericho House. I couldn't get inside fast enough. I didn't have much time left if I was going to find a new lead to follow before the ball. I threw my things onto the kitchen island and went upstairs 2 at a time. "Hi, dear," I heard my grandma say from the parlor. "I'll be in my room if you need me," I called back. I sat on the bed cross-legged and swiped on my phone. No more messing around. I needed some real information to go on. For kicks, I typed in Champion Hospitality Corp. A slick professional website came up. The company was established in 1994 by a father and son team who, to paraphrase, seemed intent on bringing strip malls and chain businesses to every rural town in America. It included a list of places they had revitalized. Under current projects, Jericho Falls was listed with about 6 other locations around the country. Anthony White's name was there as the project manager, not vice president as his business card claimed. For the Jericho Falls site, the project status was written in red, pending funding and approval. I clicked on the tab labeled Investment Opportunities. It said, "Email us to learn how to gain financial freedom and save our nation's small towns by investing in commercial development projects." If Art married Grandma Lily, did he plan on supporting the development with her money and property? It certainly seemed like the kind of deal Art would go for. But if that was the case, Anthony needed Art, and he needed him alive. So even though this business with Anthony was seriously suspicious, I didn't think he was the killer. My gut still told me that Art's death was connected to his past, maybe to Vandenberg somehow. Officer Garner had dissuaded me from learning more about Art's old partner since he had died several years before, but what else might I have learned if I had followed that thread? Seconds later, I had closed out the page on Champion Hospitality Corp. And opened up Vandenberg's obituary. I read a glowing summary of his life and professional accomplishments, tragically cut short by a heart attack. Funny, the article didn't include anything about his specialty of scamming elderly victims out of their life savings. But isn't that just the way? Once someone dies, all that's talked about is how wonderful they were, how much they'll be missed. It was hard to imagine a hardened criminal being missed once they were gone. But everyone had family, right? I read the list of survivors. It was hard to say whether these people would be relieved or sorrowful that George Vandenberg was out of their lives. According to the information, his ex-wife now lived on the East Coast with their children, Isabella and Chase. My cell phone rang. "Hello," I said, answering it via the speaker so I didn't have to stop reading this webpage. "Hi, Chloe," Bree chirped. "I ran into Lily earlier and she gave me your number. Can you pop by the salon? I just can't wait until 4 o'clock for you to see the beautiful dress I have for you." I'm busy," I mumbled absent-mindedly. Bree fell silent. I had hurt her feelings. "Listen, Bree, I'm sorry. I appreciate what you're doing for me." A rush of guilt came over me. I really wanted to dig into this some more, but I also wanted to be a friend to Bree. "I'll be right over," I told her. Bree squealed with happiness. "Great! See you in a few." In mere seconds, my phone pinged. I received a text from her with a pink heart and a smiley face emoji. Grudgingly, I swiped away the web search on Vandenberg and went downstairs to gather my things. Just moments later, when I reached for the handle to the beauty shop, the door flew open. Bree was standing there, beaming. "Close your eyes." I followed her instructions and put my hands over my eyes. I wasn't sure what to expect, but knowing Bree, there would be bows, sequins, ruffles, maybe fringe. Bree steered me by my shoulders to the back of the shop. Okay, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. I dropped my hands. Nothing could have prepared me for what I saw next. All right. That was what chapter were we on? 36. So next time, chapter 37, we'll find out what she thinks of the dress that Bree chose for her and find out all about the outfit that Bree puts together for her for the ball. It's almost time for the ball, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you sticking in with this reading of A History of Murder. Check out the links down below if you want to learn more about me or the rest of the books in the series. And until next time, thank you.